Hi, I'm Keith Richards, Chief Executive Officer of the Personal Finance Society and Managing Director of Engagement for the Chartered Insurance Institute of the UK. And you are watching RISKAfrica TV. The Chartered Insurance Institute now has over 126,000 individual members. We are an international organisation founded over 100 years ago, mainly actioned by the sector itself, the insurance industry, to help professionalise the sector. So it was a voluntary action that created the Chartered Insurance Institute. I also represent the Personal Finance Society because in the UK the market has really reformed, where insurance tends to be referred to now as general insurance, the personal lines, car insurance, house insurance, commercial, whereas financial advice now is done very much by predominantly intermediaries who are non-commission based and pure fee only, and have moved much closer to being similar to accountants and lawyers. Yeah, I mean the regulatory environment now is stabilising, but for the last 25 years it has forced quite significant reform of the market. Given that the UK market was already a very well developed market, it was growing at an exceptional rate to a point at which quality over quantity was being challenged. The conflicts of interest that were evident through commission bias, through the churning, through public perception that insurance often would try to renege on its promise to compensate at the time of catastrophe. So regulation really formed. What happened through that experience is no company actually sets out to do the wrong thing. And therefore everyone believed that they were doing the right thing, but it was another insurer down the road. The consequence, of course, is everyone thought the same, so no one did anything different, and it just simply left regulators to drive reform in the market. Having said that, we are in a very strong place. So demand, for example, for professional services, in particular financial advice, is increasing in the UK, backed now by the government, who want to see regulation working much healthier with markets for the benefit of the public. So what we shouldn't underestimate as a professional body, our purpose is to help professionalise the sector to inspire public trust, because they've professionalised, and actually regulators should be there to inspire public trust because they're there. The problem is sometimes if you over-regulate a market, it erodes public trust and therefore has the opposite effect. So I think one of the opportunities that South Africa has is to learn from the UK, because we didn't wise up quick enough, we didn't listen to the regulator, we went into our own silos rather than becoming a united insurance profession that went to regulators and asked them what they were concerned about, and then actually put in place actions to address those concerns. So that way you have an opportunity to drive the agenda, drive the reform, and make sure that you don't find yourself with the unintended consequences of over-regulation, which of course I hear in South Africa is also a bit of a cost burden in delivering the right level of service. So actually it's very interesting because in South Africa the market itself refers to itself as an industry, and therefore must recognise that there's a lot of potential to evolve, professionalise, change the perceptions of both public and indeed the policy makers, and the only way they will do that is to have commitment to evolve from an industry into a profession. And that's raising standards at all levels. So whether you're a call centre operator to a frontline sales advisor, the commitment has to be across the piece. But the other thing is that the sector needs to recognise that it needs to be a united profession, because all professions become united. They won't tolerate poor behaviours within their society, and therefore actually that in itself drives greater confidence and trust of not only its public but also its regulators. There's a great opportunity to start to collaborate, to share good practice and to demonstrate the sector does have a key role to play at guiding its own path and its own future direction of evolution. If it doesn't recognise that soon, it will only lead to regulatory reform, which then becomes an unwelcome burden people resist that kind of change, but actually that perpetuates the need for even more regulation until the point at which you start conforming. So I would say embrace the opportunity to learn from other parts of the world, the UK being one, where many of our successes were born out of our mistakes, sometimes our ignorance not to respond quick enough. I think the continent, South Africa, could lead the way in setting standards that inspire not only the confidence of the public and its regulators, but more importantly, inspire more people to want to join the insurance industry, which they can see as a growing profession.